Cheers to adulting.
Hello.
Hola.
Welcome to Cheers to Adulting. Oh wait, welcome to Cheers
To?
Adulting.
I don't know what's going on right now.
I hate you so much.
I don't know what's going on, and I feel bad.
Oh, that's strong.
Oh boy.
Wait, did I say my name?
No, not
Oh,
yet.
I'm Ashley Badajas.
And I'm Abby Rosemarin.
And this is Cheers to Adulting.
And this is a hot fucking mess.
You're welcome. Welcome. Hello. It's been a while and not at the same time. Feels like
Right?
it's been a while. It always feels.
When you are not part of this, when we're not in, wait, where am I going with this?
I don't know.
Shit. This is a hot mess, and I have only had like 2 sips of my drink. This is bad.
Adulting is hard.
Adulting is very
That's
hard.
why we're here.
There we go.
We're here for you. You're here for us. We're here
Right.
for each other.
Yeah.
Let's all take off our tops.
I'll be there for you.
Yeah. Naked time. All right. So today, our adulting drink is being adulty. And I asked Abby to get us a low-cal drink because I need to lose some weight.
Right?
I need to get in shape. So it's baby steps.
Exactly, and this is basically a gin and basically let's call it spicy gin and tonic. We've got gin and flavored seltzer water and a little that like
Little squeeze of lime.
little squeeze of lime,
Yeah,
little
sexy.
soda, and we got it going on,
Great. That's great.
right?
Yeah, and we made it extra strong.
Oh boy, this is really turning
Yes.
into a hot mess.
So that we
I'm
wouldn't
so
have,
sorry.
Yeah, we don't want to have to get up and remake the drinks. So it's supposed to be a sipping drink, but
We don't sip.
Yeah,
This is gonna be bad.
a little ASMR there.
Oh, unless you have misophonia, then ASMR gets like it's a very interesting experience where it gives me the tingles, but I also want to punch something.
I definitely have misophonia. I realize that it like for example, I love you, Michael, but when he eats salad, I get and he's just eating, but it just infuriates me. Oh. Because it's so loud.
And all the loud chewing.
Just like I had a best friend in high school, and she didn't close her mouth when she ate. And I just was like, I love you so much, and I also want to punch you in your face. So hard.
Oh, I mean, I get it. Unfortunately, Isaac, who, I love you, Isaac. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, but maybe I will create a little bit of distance when you're chewing, because holy fucking God.
I recently discovered one of my very close friends who shall remain nameless. I was eating with them. I won't gender them. And I realized, wow, I must never really sit that close to you because holy fuck, you're a loud eater and you do not close your mouth. It's a good thing I love you. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome and what that is, what that means to you. And very fortunately, we had a bunch of people write in and tell us their own personal stories and how they relate to imposter syndrome.
Yep.
Before that, we're going to talk about some adulting.
That's correct. Who would like to go first?
I guess I will.
All right, you do it.
Because I actually adulted.
What's up?
I don't know if you noticed, but I'm really trying to level out my voice and volume today.
I am not.
Because, listening back at the episodes, when I get really excited, I get really loud. And I'm like, wow, that's going to be really hard for Pat to edit. And he can't edit it out because I'm so loud. So when I get really loud, I'm going to have to face my mouth away from the microphone. So this will take some planning.
All right.
Yeah. So adulting I did. So this past weekend, I was supposed to clean a house on Saturday. And then the office asked not the office, like the mister asked me personally if I could work a dinner party. And I said, well, I already have plans to do something else. I didn't want to tell him, hey, I'm cleaning houses on the side. Let me see if I can rearrange things. So I contacted these people that were I was going to be new to cleaning for them, and they were super nice. I've met them before, so I changed it to Sunday. This is a really boring story. Long story short, he didn't need me for that Saturday dinner party. So I said, you know what? I haven't been home for like a weekend day, all day, a long time, and I was dog sitting. So I did some motherfucking yard work.
What?
And I took care of all the laundry in my room.
Nice.
There are no clothes. Well, there might be one now, but there are no clothes on that floor.
There we go. That
You
floor is
no
naked.
idea how huge that is. Huge.
Huge, man.
Huge.
Huge adulting.
Yeah, bigger than the president's hands. That's how big.
I mean,
It's not that big.
the bar is set really fucking well
Yeah.
there. That's
So
bigger than his ego, maybe.
Yeah.
Let's go with
That's
that one.
yeah. So that was my adulting.
Wonderful. So my adulting is going to be a little bit of a shameless plug. Yay!
Yay!
Back to the shameless
oh
plugging
wait,
again.
okay, yeah. Plug away. Plug it in there.
Oh, I will plug it in there. I will plug it in there real good.
Hard.
Ooh, yes, please. I like it rough.
Ooh. Good, real personal.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Mom, who definitely does not listen to this, so I don't even have to fucking worry.
Hey, Mom, we're gonna plug it real good.
Plug it all night long. Anyways, where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, I like sex.
Adulting. Yes. Samesies.
Right? But it has nothing to do with my adulting. My adulting, the shameless plug is I am releasing a collection of poetry. It's going to be my second collection of poetry. It is coming out July 9th. After having the manuscript basically stuck in consideration purgatory with one particular place that had been considering it for publication, I decided, you know what, this is a huge fucking headache. I wasn't self-publishing because I wanted to avoid that headache, but especially when you look at the statistics as like how well poetry books do traditionally published versus self-published, it really made no sense to try to go down the traditional route and get the runaround and deal with the headache that I had for the last year and a half. So I pulled it from consideration. I'm releasing it myself, July 9th. Mark your fucking calendars. It's
Get it, girl.
right? It's going to be called Venom. It is the first title of any of my published works that isn't sarcastic in some way. Like, I kid you not. Like,
Is it aggressive poetry?
it's a little bit, there's some angry poetry in there. I'm going to be the first to admit that Venom, that title was chosen
yeah.
for a reason. Yeah. But I mean, my other titles have been like, I'm just here for the free scrutiny. In the event the flower girl explodes. Chicklet and other formulas for life. No one reads poetry, a collection of poems. Like, I'm just sarcastic with my titles. And this is the first time I'm like, no, I'm going to be actually genuine. Venom. So maybe I'm turning over a new leaf or a new snake, if you will. Turning over a new snake.
Nope. Doesn't
No.
work.
No, damn it.
I voted down.
Oh. Well, there goes my Urban Dictionary post. Fuck.
Touche.
but
You
I-
brought it back.
I brought it back. I was thinking
Redemption.
sexy anyways. Like, I'm thinking about this rough plugging and like my head's in a certain
Oh,
place
wow.
now.
Oh, so the snake thing was supposed to be a sexual innuendo? It
It was
was a stretch.
you know what? It's a good thing I'm a yoga teacher then because that was a fucking stretch.
But
See, you know what? Not everything I say is going to be a winner, but every once in a while I'll have a clever one-liner.
that reminds me of my friend Allie says, anytime she says a joke that bombs, she says, I'm funny, I swear.
I like it. My go-to is, they can't all be winners.
Yeah.
And that's usually when my Isaac will say, well, they don't all have to be losers. It's a loving and supportive marriage. Can you tell?
It's give and take,
All right.
right?
You know, give a lot of headaches, take a lot of grief, that kind of thing.
Got it.
I love you, sweetheart.
So, does he even listen to our podcast?
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
So,
Okay.
fuck off, Isaac.
Yeah. Fuck you, motherfucker.
Right?
So, Abby, would you like to give us a little briefing on imposter syndrome?
Sure thing. So,
Imposter syndrome?
Imposter Syndrome. That's for the French people who definitely do not say it that way at all.
I don't think we have it. We have some Canadian listeners, so they might.
There's a chance.
They might be some French,
Right? Little Quebecois.
French speakers.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? Anyways, this really is such a hot mess. Oh my goodness. And fittingly enough, if somebody, if one of us was listening to this crazy ramble and we're like, oh, you know what? We suck at podcasting. What are we doing? We don't, we're not qualified to be doing this shit. No one should be listening to us, blah, 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 blah. Congratulations. That would mean one of us has imposter syndrome. I mean, we both do, but that's a lovely / shitty example. So imposter syndrome, this is basically when you feel like a fraud. Basically, the long and short of it is you feel like a fraud. Certain mindsets you might have are things like, any minute now, someone's going to tell me that I'm an idiot and I'm incompetent and I shouldn't be doing this, or my boss is going to realize what I'm actually qualified for and fire me, or what do I know about this certain task at hand? I should step down. And imposter syndrome is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Everybody has imposter syndrome to some degree. I contend everybody has it to some degree. Now, it comes in all different shapes and sizes, but there are 5 main categories when it comes to imposter syndrome. The first one is the perfectionist, which sounds exactly like the title. It has to be perfect. Anything less than perfection is a pure failure. Second is the Superman/Superwoman. Those are the people who feel like they're phonies surrounded by the real deal. So they have to keep working in order to prove themselves around the real people. So those are the people who act like Superman. They're working super late. They're working twice as hard as their coworkers. They're taking on so many other projects because they're trying to prove themselves. They're trying to prove they're not a fake. Then we have the natural genius, which this one, I feel so called out with this one. The natural genius, if they don't get it right off the bat, they feel complete shame. They feel like they're incompetent. They feel like they'll never get it and they shouldn't even try because they didn't get it on the first go around. And that's definitely me. I'm one of those people, like if I'm trying to learn something and I do not get it on the first try, oh fucking forget it. Shame spiral. Anyway, then
we should really oh, I think I have a bell somewhere. Shame. Shame. Shame.
Can I keep my clothes on at least?
No.
Well, here we go, everybody.
Not in my house.
It's going to be that kind of podcast.
All right. We have taken a bath together, although it was in bathing suits.
Yeah, we were in bathing suits, and it was one of those big, jacuzzi type tubs.
Yeah.
But, we'll just let you enjoy that imagery of us in
I'll get her to take her clothes off one day.
Girlfriend likes to be wild. We'll see what happens.
When my pool's fixed.
Oh, what's up?
Skinny dipping.
Skinny dipping, especially midnight skinny dipping with a full moon.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh, my witchy side is coming out right now. I need to take a step back. Anyways, number 4 is the soloist. That is somebody who feels that asking for help would reveal their incompetence. So they're going to do everything by themselves. They're not going to ask for help. I also feel a little called out by this one because I hate asking for help because it makes me feel like, no, that means I'm incompetent. And once I ask for help, they're going to know I'm incompetent.
I hate asking for help because I feel like it's an inconvenience to other people.
Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing too, is I don't want to inconvenience other people with my incompetence. I will just fail at the task at hand by myself.
Watch me.
Right?
Hold my beer.
Exactly. I was just about to say, hold my beer. Anyways, and then the 5th one is the expert. And that is the person who feels like they have to keep going to all the trainings. They have to get all the master's degrees. They got to get their PhD. They got to keep getting the credentials because they keep feeling like a fraud. And they're like, oh, well, the way I'm going to cure this is I'm just going to get super duper qualified. And then all of a sudden they've got 5 PhDs and they've done all the post-grad certificates in the world. And yet they still feel like frauds.
We definitely have some people who wrote in that have those sort of situations.
Oh, yeah. And I can kind of feel that as well, especially in my job. I think I go back to training after training because I'm like, well, I don't know enough yet. I don't know enough yet. I got to keep going. I got to keep getting trained because otherwise I'm just a complete fraud.
You are.
I am.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, aren't we all frauds? That's kind of the beautiful thing about the ubiquity of imposter syndrome is that we all kind of feel like frauds.
And actually, it's funny because I didn't even really reflect upon how much imposter syndrome really is or just addressing it is the embodiment of this podcast.
It really is.
It's this podcast, if you haven't figured out by now,
right.
is all about how we're trying to adult. We're trying to be adults, but we don't feel like we're doing it.
Right.
And
fail at
we're
it.
failing at it. And
we have to like give ourselves little gold star stickers. We're like, I did the laundry because,
Yeah, and a lot of it is the thing that like our parents at our age had us. A lot of us are, you know, we had parents that had children and they had like quote unquote real jobs.
Right. They were the real adults.
They had like homes, but also that is also
then we can go down the rabbit hole of the economy and the housing
Exactly.
bubble and blah, blah, blah.
But you know, as kids, we thought our parents had their shit together and knew all these things. Lo and behold, I'm educating I'm not shitting on you, Mom. I'm educating my mother on certain things. And, you know, as a kid, you think your mom or your dad know everything.
Right.
It's like, what?
It
They
is a crazy,
don't?
right? Like, I mean, actually, I was going down a personnel route. Never mind.
But yeah, the thing is that Imposter Syndrome, like our podcast, all about adulting, we're all just trying here. We're trying, we're failing, and it's okay. You know, we all are falling short of things.
Exactly. We are all winging it. And that's one thing that you realize once you become an adult.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
Right? You look around and you're like, oh, everybody doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Everybody is just flying by the seat of their pants. All right. So this never ends. Cool. I'm never going to become a quote unquote adult. Cool.
I get real excited when I find certain people that I always feel like they have their shit together when they tell me about piles of laundry or things. I'm like, you do
Schadenfreude.
Yeah, Schadenfreude. They have a really good way of like masking things.
Right. That's kind of like the most beautiful thing. And I've actually had people who will find out about like the shit that's in my life or the shit that's going on in my mind. And they'll be like, I don't understand. Like, you're one of the most put together people I know. And I'm like, oh, that's adorable. I am really good at this fraud thing if you think I'm put together, because holy fucking shit. Like,
Right? It's like try and come to my house when I'm not prepared for people to come over.
right.
Or just become really close friends with me that I end up just not caring. Like, I would not let other people in my life see how my house looks right now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. You are on the short list of people who could come over to my house and not be like, oh, fuck, I need to clean all the things.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Like, no, see the clutter in my dining room
And that
table
says something because I'm a housekeeper and usually people get self-conscious. I'm like, no. No. So I'm going to share some stories so I want to give a huge shout out to the community of And That's Why We Drink podcast. I reached out to one of the fan groups and asked them, I was like, hey, I want your imposter syndrome stories, yada, yada, yada. And they obliged. So thankful.
Nice. Thank you,
As
guys.
well as, you know, some people, regular listeners who wrote in and sent us our stories.
All right.
So let's get started.
All right. Let's get it started.
All right.
Hey.
Let's get it started. Huh?
Which is honestly better. Like, the radio edit is actually better than the original, like, words for that.
What was?
The original, the non-edited is let's get retarded.
Oh, God.
Right? Like, that's
Okay.
one of those times I'm like, nope, radio edit got it right.
Nope. Radio edit. Hard in the face. All right. So, Jelani W. For myself, I've never been formally diagnosed by any means, but have this super overwhelming fear of starting a job in my degree. I'm extremely terrified that I'll get hired, but when I'll start the job, I feel like I read that. I'm extremely terrified that I'll get hired, but when I'll start the job, they'll realize I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing and fire me. I have a bachelor's degree and took on many roles and internships to utilize my skills, but it's literally crippling. I've skipped interviews completely because of it. She's from Indianapolis, Indiana. And so we're going to decide what category of imposter syndrome they are, Abby.
There we go. And I'm going to go with the expert on this one. This is somebody who, they got their bachelor's degree, they're taking all these roles and these internships. Like, this is somebody who's trying to collect the credentials to prove themselves. So I'm going to go expert.
Absolutely. I will agree. Then we have Alicia S. I have a bachelor's and master's degree, forced myself to apply for a great job, which I got and I love, but I'm in a near constant state of fear that I'll be, quote unquote, found out and instantly fired for being a fake. It doesn't help that the job wanted 3 years experience and I only had 1. So every time I don't know something, I just freak out. And we didn't have a location for her.
That's okay. You know what? I'm going to go with a combination of the expert and the superwoman/Superman. This, again, somebody who has their bachelor's and their master's. They're heavily credentialed, but is also feeling like they're a fake. And I'm going to wager so far that they feel like a fake surrounded by the quote-unquote real deal.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with a mix of number 2 and number 5.
Then we have Holly C. I don't know that it's much of a story, but I'm in my 30s. I have 1 bachelor's degree and 2 master's degree. I'm at a director level position and I consistently have good data that shows me with straight up facts that I'm good at my job and know what I'm doing. I still feel like a little girl playing dress up and live with this ever-present irrational fear that someone will see that I'm faking it and actually have no idea what I'm doing and don't belong at the grown-up table. And she's from Memphis, Tennessee.
So I think I'm going to go again with that combo of the expert and the superwoman. Like, this is a heavily credentialed, somebody who feels like a fake, a little kid at the grown-up table.
I always feel like
Oh
the
my
little
God,
kid at the grown-up
same.
table.
Let's say I'm 32, God damn it. I turned 33 in like 3 months.
Yeah,
Like,
I went to an event on Sunday. It was like a benefit concert, and I was dressed up really nice. And then I was like, "Am I too overdressed?" And it was all these like old people. I don't know how to say that without being impolite. They were like, they could be my grandparents.
yeah, a little more on the geriatric side, if you will.
Yeah, and the thing is that I'm a board member who through this event, and I always feel like a little kid. Like, they obviously wanted me on the board for a reason, but I still feel like a kid around them, and I still feel like, do they view me as a kid? And it's like, oh, that's cute.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we feel it. Yeah.
Then we have Finn Ann L. I'm a transgender person who's been running pride groups for 8 years, and I was invited to speak on a panel, which I've done so many times before through the groups, about what it's like to be trans/non-binary in the goth scene. I spent the whole day leading up to the panel freaking out that I either wasn't qualified to speak about being trans or that I wasn't qualified to speak about being goth, while I drove to a goth/dark alt convention that I was doing multiple panels at. Once the panel started, I realized that my own identities intersected at a way that no one else could replicate and that I had valuable input and tons of lived experience. It was totally fine, but the anxiety leading up to it was rough. And I'm from New Jersey.
So that's an interesting one. I feel like, again, we're going a little bit on the expert level, where it's like I don't feel like I have enough qualifications and so on and so forth. It's tough when we're talking about identity, though, because you can't go and get your master's in your own identity. So that one's a tough one. But I think at the end of the day, I'm going to go closer to the expert on that one.
And that was like a really interesting story that I have to meet you, Finn. So interesting.
Right?
Trans, non-binary, goth. I'm all about that.
Right. Feel like being a guest on our show?
Yeah, they definitely remind me a lot of someone that my cousin, who's very like goth, would love to meet. Yeah. So then we have Katie L. Throughout college, I got really good grades, which never ceased to amaze me. I always felt like I hadn't worked hard enough to get an A, or that there was a huge curve and I just happened to be on the good side of it. I still think about it a lot because I don't feel like I earned my degree. I got a BA in English and graduated cum laude with the world ahead of me to do anything I wanted. But now I'm just cleaning houses and attempting to teach English online to Chinese children. I feel very undeserving of my college accomplishments. I think it's evident by my quote-unquote career choices or lack thereof. My anxiety ties into this as well. That has kept me from doing a lot, even in college. Hope this is what you're looking for. I know it's nice to know that there are people who go through this so I don't feel so alone. I'm also glad it has a name. I just thought it was crazy. and she's from Columbus, Ohio. I had an interesting quick convo with Katie on Facebook because, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as her.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, just so you know, I got my bachelor's in cultural anthropology and I clean houses now too.
Right.
And I just, you know, and she's asked me like, do you like cleaning? And I said, well, I enjoy cleaning when it's, so at work, I do a lot of not clean. I do clean, but there's not a lot of dirty stuff because we're there every day almost.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Monday through Friday. And because there's always two of us, there's not a lot of dirty stuff happening except for like
clean
laundry.
this dust that
Yeah.
definitely does not exist because it hasn't had a fucking chance to accumulate.
Yeah, when there's dinner parties and stuff, I get real excited because I know the next day I'm gonna have work. So I get excited. And I've learned to really appreciate cleaning. I enjoy cleaning more when I'm doing it on the side for people I know. The appreciation I get from those people is just, I would say it's payment enough, but mama need money.
Right? Well, then it becomes like an act of service versus just like, oh, I guess here's more upkeep, I guess. Hi.
Yeah, but I was also telling her how I definitely feel her because I like to, you know, make fun at it and talk to a coworker, and I'll be cleaning if they're there, I'll say, look at me, putting my bachelor's degree to real good use. I got a degree, I say, yeah.
So I'm going to go with the perfectionist on this one. It is not necessarily if she's not doing her work perfectly, she's a fraud, but she's not making the quote unquote perfect postgraduate choices. Like, you know, she's cleaning houses, she's doing online ESL. It's not the perfect thing that she could be doing. And as a result, she's a totes fraud. So
Totes fraud.
Totes fraud, y'all. As opposed to the toads fraud, which is when you're a fucking frog and you're trying to pretend you're a toad. And again, they're not all going to be winners. But yeah, so I'm going to go with a perfectionist on that one.
Nice. So now we have Stephanie Eloise R. Me and my best friend always laugh about our imposter syndrome, which beautifully goes hand in hand with our shared generalized anxiety disorder. Twinsies. I added that, not her. It's great, LOL. I'm a hair and makeup artist. I've been in the industry for over 10 years. I've worked for years on film and television sets with celebrity clients. I've also worked in salons and for Disney. I've held makeup workshops and taught classes. Now I'm mostly working freelance weddings and private clients. And honestly, almost every time I'm working, I think about what I'm doing. Almost every time I'm working, if I think about what I'm doing too much, I will completely panic. And it's exactly the feeling I will completely screw this up and everyone will know I'm a fraud. But if I shut off my mind and racing anxiety, then I just automatically do this beautiful job and everyone's happy. But I feel like I'm on autopilot. I clearly know what I'm doing since I also teach classes and I have answers for every question. I have reasons for every brushstroke and product that I use, but in the moment, I always panic and have sheer terror that I will be found out. I think part of this is the fact that I personally am not all about hair and makeup for myself on my daily life. I use drugstore discount makeup on myself and just apply it in a way that looks expensive. I use expensive high quality products on my clients, but on myself, I'm fine with $2 Wet n Wild lipstick. Get it, girl.
Right.
I can't justify spending $50 on a foundation for my own face. Same. But I'll spend $200 on my cats. Same. My best friend is a college professor, total opposite of me, and she is constantly terrified her students will also think she's a fraud, even though she's brilliant and knows exactly what she's talking about. I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Nice.
I totally identify with that for myself because, so on one of the many, many side jobs that I do, I work very part-time at a rock climbing gym. And at this rock climbing gym, I teach beginner classes that I never feel like a fraud, but I also teach advanced climbing. I teach people how to do lead climbing. Every time I do that, I feel like a fucking fraud. Sure, I know how to do it. I've taught the class a million times. I can lead climb, sure. I think because I don't feel confident in my lead climbing, I get nervous, but I try and tell that to people when I'm teaching them to make them feel better. But I also get nervous that because I'm not crushing fucking 5-12 grade climbs, that I'm not a good enough of a teacher,
Yep.
But I try and remind myself all that matters is that they're being safe and they're learning the fundamentals, even if they're probably a better climber than me, or they'll not yet, but they will become a better climber than me. But I still always feel nervous, always feel like I'm gonna fuck up. And especially a last class, because I had someone that was basically trying to teach during my class, and I'm like, finally I had to like put on my big girl pants. I was like, look, I appreciate it. You clearly know a lot of stuff, but you're fucking up my vibe, so shut the fuck up.
I hope it was verbatim that response. I hope it was.
Sure, it was. No.
No, I feel that though, because I'm kind of in the same boat where my day-to-day weekly classes, like I can just breeze through. But whenever I'm doing workshops like those 2-hour like intensives, I always go in it like, why is anybody fucking listening to me?
I know.
I'm an idiot. Like, don't listen to me and how to do handstands and arm balances because I'm stupid. You're gonna figure it out. You're gonna figure out that I'm spouting nonsense. It is really tough. And
I hope
like,
everyone feels like that teaching a class.
I know. Honestly, I feel like that is the case.
I mean, you don't want them to, you want them to feel like they know what they're
confident
doing.
And,
But hopefully people think I know what I'm doing when I'm teaching them classes.
Exactly. And I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like, I can't think of anybody that I've ever gone to like a workshop for or taken their class or a seminar or anything and been like, that they don't know. Well, no, actually, there's been a few where it's like they don't know what they're talking about, but it's like gross incompetence. It is not like, oh no, they're definitely just spouting, whatever, and I just am not smart enough to figure it out. Maybe I wasn't smart enough to figure it out, but either way, I did not see them as a fraud, and so I have to see that for myself. Like, they're probably seeing me the same way I've seen all those people with their seminars and what have you. This one's a tough one. I think I'm going to go with Superwoman. Where they're feeling like a fraud.
Yeah, for sure.
They're the phony around the real deal.
And then we have an anonymous submission. I have 2 master's degrees, and a pinch shy of a doctoral degree, but don't feel like I really accomplished them. I've had high-ranking administrative jobs in the medical field, am held in high regard in the mental health field, but still feel like if they really knew me, I would found out to be an imposter. It's a weird feeling to feel that your accomplishments aren't yours. I sometimes feel like anyone off the street can do what I do, even with the years of education and practice. I surely hope not.
All right. I mean, I feel like there's a few moms on Facebook who think they are, but no.
It is a devaluing of the self. It is also wondering why I'm so valued in my position, as I feel like I don't feel like I did anything special. All my advanced education, so what? I don't feel like I did them. Sure, I wrote some papers and took some classes, but I don't feel like I really did anything to earn my advanced degrees. Others with the same education level think, wow, they are very accomplished. But when I think of myself with the same education, I feel, meh, I really didn't do anything. Big deal, I wrote some papers. I don't belong in the same league as my peers at that level.
Oh yeah, that's Superwoman right there. I mean, a little bit of the expert as well because of just that amazing amount of credentials under her belt, but that I would say is pretty textbook Superwoman.
And then we have a really long one.
It's gonna be, well, yeah.
We'll see how fast I can go.
That's what she said.
All right. So this is Sean P. from New England. I am an imposter. I should do this dramatically.
Do this dramatically.
Can we add dramatic
like
music?
water too wet.
Yes.
Like, yes.
I don't know quite when this happened. And I never had, I'm not belittling you. I swear to God, it's just gonna be funnier. I don't know quite when this happened. Also, you wrote 3 pages, so I have to do it dramatically. I don't know quite when this happened, and I never made the choice to be an imposter, but I am an imposter. Sometime between true childhood and true young adulthood, I realized that I was not who I seemed to be, not who anyone intended me to be, not who I intended to be, and honestly, I was not who I was. Growing up, I was told that I could be anything I wanted, and that I'd be successful at it and to go forth and conquer. I believed this and mostly still do, but not with the near religious fervor with which it was preached to me growing up. I think that this process, which seems to be remarkably common, fosters an adult emergence of imposter syndrome. It's not the only way it can appear, and I don't think it guarantees it will appear, but in my experience, it is pretty common. Right now, as an adult, I am a creative type. I might be a bit unfocused in my projects. Ask me about my photography, screenplays, novels, short stories, and more. But I think I've finally settled into this being my career. I spent a lot of time growing up and wanting to be a scientist. All well, spending my time writing and writing and writing. Being a scientist was useful, and I would be so good at it. In high school, a time when people should not be trying to figure out the rest of their life because they can't figure out how to dress themselves, I decided to go to college for physics. I say decided, but in truth, I was railroaded into it by expectations. It wasn't my passion, but a thing I was good at. I'm much happier now being an amateur physicist and engineer than I ever was taking it seriously. When it comes to science, my current level of participation in education and designing model rockets, remote-controlled cars and robots and go-karts for my nieces and nephews, Jesus, I need one of them. That was me. And it might be fun to build a mech to ride around in. Okay, I don't know what that is. I guess my interest in special effects and by extension props and cosplay creation, damn, he does a lot, is driven slightly by my interest in science and engineering. But I digress. After leaving serious science, I was lost. I had years of writing in various states of being finished all around me, but I felt more lost than ever because I couldn't let myself embrace it. It wasn't serious, it was a hobby or a child's thing, unlike science. I've really only recently embraced creativity as a career, recently being the last 7 years or so. I've dabbled before that, but now I was and am focusing on finishing novels and editing and growing as a creative person. And I am an imposter. All I can think now is how I've turned away from my other, more worldly useful talents. Quote, the world doesn't need another story, it needs science thing. Anyone can write, but you're so good at math, engineering, physics, science, and not a lot of people are, and you could be doing so much better teaching instead of writing, are things that run through my head constantly. Even when I'm told what I'm creating is good, sometimes better than good, I balk. My hobbies things are okay. My hobby things are not serious. This isn't a job. These are symptoms of my imposter syndrome, the idea that I am not the professional I should be, the idea I left more marketable talents on the table, the idea that I walked away from a lucrative or stable career, the idea that when I was 17 years old, I chose science and didn't follow through, and that I would be more authentic if I had chosen creativity before I knew how to pick out nice shoes. I'm an imposter because I do not feel fully authentic. I can admit that choosing science was a wrong choice for me, but it seems to, even to this day, be the choice that was made for me. And I've shrugged it off. Admitting and knowing that this change is better for me, my sanity and work-life balance, often doesn't help me feel better or more at peace. I don't know how it is for others when it comes to imposter syndrome. I don't usually encounter it in professional settings, which I think is the more common or maybe just a facet of it that is either more interesting or garners the most clicks. I'm sure the plight of a flaky writer is less interesting as a news piece that's something people experience every day during their work lives. I sometimes find myself looking for approval of my work, not fishing for compliments and looking to hear how good I am, but literal approval that what I do is work and that it is worthwhile. When I sit down to create, my end goal is to entertain someone other than myself, even though I often do just set out to create something that would entertain me, but often I feel like it isn't work. I know that it is, but I think we all have those moments where where what we feel doesn't align with what we know. So, because of my imposter syndrome, I am an imposter. I feel it in my mind and in my bones, in my heart and my soul on those days when they aren't overwhelmed by reality. I know I'm doing okay and that who I am and need to be. I just wish those days came more often or lasted longer, but don't we all? End.
There we go. And I know we were kind of, joshing on it and what have you and doing dramatic readings and what have you. But to me, that also kind of shows like, hey, you are quite the writer.
I
'Cause,
know,
like,
right?
You have this lovely, like, so that, you know, I mean, I was just enjoying that story, but at the same time, I'm trying to like, okay, where does that really, like, what are these 5 categories? And I mean, nothing can ever be fully fit into a box, and these things can be fluid, and you can be multiple things, and so on and so forth. In some ways, I almost feel like that's going to be the perfectionist. Because kind of the same way with the person who had her degree and now she's teaching, or she's teaching ESL and cleaning houses. This was a science person who left the sciencey things and now is doing the impractical writer thing. That's not the perfect choice.
I definitely relate to this. So I went to a fine arts school for high school, a school that you auditioned for a certain major. I studied musical theater, and it was something I was very passionate about. For me, I was more passionate about the acting for the comedy, although I do love singing. Not like super obsessed with musicals. I mean, I do like some musicals, but I'm not like, yeah. So I like it in moderation. Then I went to college and I studied culture anthropology. Instead of a lot of my peers, they went into a fine arts school and they studied more, and a lot of them kept pursuing acting, and I really still want to act. I still want to do comedy, and I'm a housekeeper. So I definitely it's just like this weird, anytime I start to try and dabble back into comedy, I feel like an imposter, and like it's a hobby and it's weird, and at the same time I still want to be acknowledged for my intelligence and like going to college and studying anthropology, and I feel like an imposter because it's like I'm a housekeeper, but yeah, that's just going into my own personal, if we wanted to.
I mean, why not? Let's jump into that because I feel that as well. I mean, like I have my degree in English and sociology. I have continued my education with early childhood education and cognitive development of young children, and now I teach yoga. And I have said point blank to Isaac, I was like, am I wasting my intelligence? And he was like, yep. Like, oh, thanks.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, anyone who knows Isaac, like that is an Isaac response. He pulls no punches.
True.
He really doesn't pull any punches. And I love him for that. I know I'm always going to get the honest response from him. But it does kind of make me feel like, all right, like, what am I doing? Like, I wasted my education and so on and so forth. Or when I'm teaching yoga and I kind of go on autopilot, like one of the things I do in my yoga classes is I'm constantly asking people to tell me what's ailing them so I can like churn in my mind, like, all right, this is what my knowledge of anatomy can do, so I can do this thing and that thing, and I'm going to stretch out that and strengthen that, because I need that. Because if I'm just like, sun salutations, up dog, down dog, yay, I feel like, oh my God, I'm just this automaton. And likewise,
You're not the one cleaning toilets.
True. I mean, touche, but... So I swear this is not me doing any like shameless plugging or anything like that, but when it comes to the writing stuff, I'm always like, why would anyone bother to buy my shit? Why would anyone buy this book? It's crap. Like, and I kid you not, like one bad review and I'm like, yep, I'm fucking terrible. That one bad review is proof that I'm a goddamn fraud. And even just the poetry collection right now, I'm just thinking to myself, who would want this? Like, I'm not talented enough for this. It is really tough. Like, imposter syndrome can be crippling.
Oh, holy shit, yeah. Definitely. Because I did, I can't remember if I talked about it on here or not. So a while ago, I did auditions for a local improv troupe. It's like the largest improv troupe of the state. And I was feeling real confident and stuff. And, I did good with my scene partners, but I was also like very professional and very like whatever. And I didn't make it. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Because I had like and some of these people that I talked to had never like done improv training, and some of them were like, oh, I just wanted to see. And I did all the classes, graduated, did a show with Improv Asylum, which is like a very prestigious improv school and production company or whatever in Boston. And I had done a show with Improv Boston. And yeah, so then I found out that it had to be unanimous. And it was like more than 10 people on that panel.
That's impossible. Like how?
Yeah.
Who would ever pass? I mean, I guess people do pass, but
And
who?
I picked a very serious picture for my photo.
Oh,
So
that might have swayed that one person.
for
who's
sure.
like-
Yeah. So it's just like, I don't want to let that get me down about my talent and my skills. And it's hard.
It is hard, and rejection really, I think, pings at the imposter syndrome. You know, being a writer and submitting your work out, and I cannot tell you how like the decline, the rejection percentage is disgustingly high for me. People who know what Submittable is, basically just an online platform where you can submit to whoever is looking for stuff. It is just a long column of decline. Every once in a while you see a little accepted, and then it's just fucking like a column of declined. And it's really tough to not see that and go, well, clearly I'm not cut out for this. Clearly I'm a fraud. I need to just quit while I'm ahead, or really quit while I'm still behind.
Not to mention our modeling careers.
Oh my God, right? that honestly could be its own podcast.
I always
in and
felt
of
like
itself.
a goddamn fraud.
Oh my God,
Especially
same
being next
here.
to this woman.
Oh, well, I mean, well, shucks, blush. But no, I always felt like a huge fraud myself. Like, it didn't help that I was 2 sizes too big for regular fashion modeling. I would look at myself in the pictures and I'm just like, especially when I would smile and I'd be like, oh, you know what? I've seen what like models look like when they smile for the camera. It is not that. Like, I kid you not, like the last...
And for me, I was like, I'm definitely the weirdish kind of model.
Which first and foremost is a thing. Like
Yeah.
the biggest fashion models out there are all like the ones who are a little weird, a little edgy. They got that sharp edge to them. But one of the very last commercial gigs I had, last paying job, was me
Was it
with
Harley Davidson?
Well, that was actually my last paying job ever.
Oh, okay.
Like that was my last job, and then I went 2 years without any jobs and really not going to auditions. And then after 2 years, my agency was kind of like, "Hey, you're not really going to auditions, and you are due to update your portfolio. We don't want you to have to go through all of that if you're not going to auditions." Like it was like the nicest agency drop ever. It wasn't even like a real drop. They were just like, "We'll put you on the back burner, and then if you want to come back, we'll put you back on, and then you can update your portfolio." It was a very lovely letdown. But no, before that, I had done a photo shoot for this like baby supplies company, and it was like this for this little bath, and I was supposed to be looking at the kid and smiling, and then I saw the picture that they chose, and I'm like looking at the baby like I'm about to eat him. I'm like, oh my God, they paid me money to look like I'm about to eat a baby? Like, fuck, I am not a real model.
Oh my God.
And that's why I'm retired, because I want to eat babies.
Same.
But I think a great way to round out this podcast is to just talk about ways that we can kind of beat it. Just beat it.
Beat it.
Beat it.
Oh, it's wrong on so many
Oh my
levels.
goodness, so many levels. But we're not even going to dive into that. We're going to go straight into this
I'm
list.
also gonna steal some of your drinks. for
Steal
the
some
end
of my
this episode.
drink. Right? Like this did not turn into a sipping drink.
Yeah.
Not at all. Anyways, there are ways to, well, I don't want to say beat it, but to but to live with it. Because the reality is that imposter syndrome, especially like any real demon, any insecurity, there's really no way to squash it. You just find ways to kind of manage it, make sure it doesn't take over your life. And so one of the first ways is to recognize that you are not superhuman, so do not expect superhuman results. So we're talking to the perfectionist, we're talking to the superwoman/Superman, the natural genius. You guys, you can't expect the best of the best. Like if you actually really look around and you look at the people and how they fuck up, like honestly, being from Boston, seeing how they manage like things like the Big Dig, that lets you know like, oh no, the people are like, the average person is fucking incompetent. Like, so I need to stop expecting like this godlike ability out of me, because it's not going to happen. The next one is
Chernobyl.
Right? Fucking Chernobyl. Right? Like if y'all are watching that,
Chernobyl,
like
yeah.
that series right now, holy shit. And I mean, fittingly, every success has some degree of failure to it.
Chernobyl.
Right? Although, was that really a success? Like that was,
Yeah.
I mean, it was successful right up until it blew up and then all the radiation everywhere. But it's important to remember that there really is no 100% success. Like every success, there are things that didn't go right. There are things you wish had happened but didn't, and so on and so forth. So it's really important to embrace that. Another thing is, and this is kind of maybe thumbing our nose at the expert, but things like credentials and education. Sometimes that is a good way to kind of get you into a more secure place, to be able to say, no, I've trained too hard, I've studied too hard, I've gone to school for too long to feel like a failure. However, if you are, quote unquote, the expert, you're going to have a really hard time with that because you're going to keep going back to school and keep getting those credentials and still feel like a fraud. So there's a caveat on that one. And then there's it's good to remember that the worst case of imposter syndromes, like so people who have
Chernobyl.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The people who fucked up Chernobyl probably didn't have that high of imposter syndrome. That's a little Danning-Kruger going on right there. That whole like the less you know, the more you think you know. And like here's the fucking funny thing. Like I realized I said Danning-Kruger and I'm like, oh no, it's Dunning-Kruger. I'm a fucking fraud. I should have Googled that and put it in my notes and blah blah blah.
Meanwhile, I'm like, who the fuck that?
Right? So that's right there is Dunning-Kruger in a fucking nutshell. Basically, the less you know, the more you think you know. It's a theory. It is, yeah. Google that noise, you uncultured swine.
I'm
I love to
uncultured
say.
swine.
But it's important to remember that the people who have high levels of imposter syndrome are also the high achievers. So the people who have low imposter syndrome, those are the fuckers who like, were running Chernobyl, right? Or the big dig in Boston. Like these are the people who are not doubting their abilities. They're the people who are like just going full force. So you're in good company if you have imposter syndrome. It always makes me think of what Michelle Obama said, and I want to say this was like a year or two ago, where she talked about how she would be in the same room as all these huge world leaders making all these big decisions, judiciary, fuck, all the words, but would be making all these big decisions and would realize, holy fucking shit, like these guys are no smarter than me, like, hot damn. So it's good to remember, like
Michelle Obama,
right?
If she can feel imposter syndrome,
then everybody, like you're in really good company, right? So another thing you can do is both seek a mentor and be a mentor. So a mentor can help kind of get your head on straight. It'll also make you feel like, okay, well, it's okay that I feel like a fraud because I have somebody that I can like follow. There's somebody that is leading the way. And that might help assuage the anxiety that, oh, I'm a fraud and people are going to figure me out. The other thing is to become a mentor, which might seem a little weird. Like I sought out. I seeked. I synced my mentor. But after syncing my mentor, I can also be a mentor, and that might feel a little weird, but you will be amazed at the confidence that will happen if you are basically looking at the younger version of yourself, and it will make you realize how far you've come along, how much expertise you actually do have, how much advice you actually would be able to give. So you can both seek or seek a mentor and then
younger
be a mentor.
Ashley, do more drugs, have more sex.
Younger Abby, have less anxiety. How about that one? And also more drugs and more sex and yada, yada, yada.
Do less shopping.
Also less shopping. That's a good one. And then there is the Amy Cuddy fake it until you become it. That whole idea of everybody is kind of flying by the seat of their pants. Act like you're the professional. Fake it. Know that you're being a fake, but that's okay. Fake it until you become it, right? And then the last but not least is to stop with the comparison train. Like stop looking at other people, stop going on social media and seeing how other people are doing things and going, well, clearly they know what they're doing. I'm the idiot. I'm the fraud. I'm incompetent. Again, everyone has imposter syndrome, and that person you think has their shit together probably doesn't. Again, all the people who ever thought I had my shit together, you fucking wrong, kid.
Or if you want to be really shallow and a really shitty human being like me, and if you want a boost of your ego, look at those like friends that were really shitty friends or your shitty exes.
They bullied you in high school.
And you know that they're not doing good, and just troll their Facebook and be like, Damn,
Right.
I'm doing good.
Shine
Fuck that person.
SCHADENFREUDE. That's Avenue Q, everyone. Avenue Q, everybody. I'm amazed that I was able to do that too, especially after that fucking strong drink and the fact that my brain has been farting all freaking night. Just the brain, everybody, not just, yeah. Anyways.
So, cheers to Schadenfreude,
Cheers to Imposter Syndrome.
Chernobyl, and the Big Dig.
Right? Don't forget to follow us on social media.
Facebook,
At
Cheers
Cheers
to
to
Adulting.
Adulting.
Instagram,
Cheers
to
to
Adulting
Adulting
Podcast.
Podcast.
Twitter,
Cheers, number two, Adulting. That we never fucking
You can
update.
email us any of your stories, any ideas, love notes, ransom notes, cheers2adulting@gmail.com.
All right.
Watch us on YouTube.
All right.
On
Cheers
the
to
YouTube.
Adulting.
Cheers
on
to
the
Adulting.
YouTubes. Yes.
Our website's down, so
But it will get up again. You're never gonna keep it down.
yeah, we'll get some blue pills. And that's it.
That is it.
Cheers
Cheers
to Adulting.
to Adulting. I did not sip that last sip.
Cheers to adulting.